Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be going over my favorite hip flexor stretches, but I'm also going to be telling you the pros and the cons for each stretch so you can pick the one that's most appropriate for you. A lot of people have been coming to me and telling me that they feel really tight in the front of the hip. You have two hip flexor muscles, the iliacus and the psoas major, and these muscles cross the hip and attach to the lumbar spine. Now, while hip flexor stretching may give you some nice temporary relief, it's still important if you've been dealing with chronic or long-term hip flexor tightness to go seek the advice of a professional. I would be happy to perform a thorough physical exam to help you get to the root cause of your hip flexor tightness. I will be scoring each stretch on their convenience and effectiveness from a 1 to 5 scale. Some stretches are going to be a little more convenient but maybe not give you as an effective stretch, while others may be more effective but harder for you to perform when you're out or at work. So the first stretch we're going to go over is the standing hip flexor stretch. Now this stretch is going to score a 5 out of 5 for convenience. You can do this stretch whether you're out at the store, at work, waiting in line somewhere. All you need is just enough room to stand up. To perform the stretch, you stand and spread the feet with one in front of the other. The wider you separate the feet, the more of a stretch you're going to feel. Then all you do is keep the chest nice and tall and push your hips forward. As you push the hips forward, you should feel a nice stretch in the front of the hip. You'll be stretching the leg that's in the back. You can hold this stretch for 30 seconds and then switch and perform on the other side. You may want to hold on to a chair or a pole, something to support yourself so you don't have a loss of balance while performing the stretch. As far as effectiveness, this stretch is going to get a 3 out of 5. You are able to feel a light stretch in the front of the hip, and you'll feel more of a stretch if your hip is a little bit tighter. But for some people, you may not feel much of a stretch at all. The second hip flexor stretch we're going to talk about is the kneeling hip flexor stretch. If you're at home, it's very convenient. However, if you're out on the go, it's not always convenient to get on the ground and kneel, which is why I'm scoring this a 4 out of 5 for convenience. All you do is find some room. You're going to get into a half kneeling position, keep the chest nice and tall, and again, push the hips forward. You should feel a nice stretch in the front of the hip for that back leg. As far as effectiveness, it is a quite effective stretch. I'm going to score it a 4 out of 5 for effectiveness. When performing this stretch, you can get a strong stretch for the hip flexor. You can also add some banded assist to help you get an even deeper stretch when performing the kneeling hip flexor stretch. The third stretch we're going to talk about is the supine hip flexor stretch. Supine means lying flat on your back, and this could be performed on your bed or the couch, any elevated surface that you can lie on. When performing the supine hip flexor stretch, you're going to get close to the edge of the bed and then hang the leg you want to stretch off the side of the bed. For convenience, we're scoring this a 3 out of 5. It is a little bit difficult to find a bed that's firm enough and high enough, but if you do have one that you can use, this stretch is very effective. I'm scoring it a 5 out of 5 for effectiveness. For one, your back is supported by the bed, so for those people with low back pain, this is an excellent option. Number two, gravity is helping to pull the leg down into extension, which can give you a really nice and deep hip flexor stretch. You can also use your hand or a strap to help pull the hip further down into extension, which will increase the effectiveness of the stretch. Now for stretch number 4, this is my go-to hip flexor stretch, whether I'm at home, on the go. It scores a 5 out of 5 for effectiveness and convenience. This is the seated hip flexor stretch. And when you try it, I'm sure you'll feel a strong stretch in the front of that hip flexor. This stretch can be performed anywhere, whether you're at the airport, at home, at work. All you need is a little space to sit down. When performing the seated hip flexor stretch, you're going to scoot towards the edge of the chair and turn your body to the side. You're then going to split the feet, one in front of the other, with the knees bent. As you bring the chest nice and tall and push the hips forward, you should feel a nice stretch in the front of that hip. You can hold this stretch for 30 seconds and then switch sides. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video so I know to make more content just like this.